It's all bullshit. These are all excuses. Gene hates them. He's looking at me like just disappointed in me. I'm a failure. I'm sorry, John. It's me.
Remember when we first met John McClane? Argyle picked him up from the plane and took him down the Nakatomi Tower at the Christmas party. And the terrorists were overzealous, but it was sweet when they killed Ellis. And with a little help from Alan, John McClane kicked ass.
Welcome back to Chat the Movies, the podcast where we answer the question, were the movies we loved when we were growing up really that good? Have you ever caught yourself thinking, why don't they make movies like they used to? Can you still remember spending your Friday night searching for the perfect movie rental at Blockbuster Video? Do you know what Blockbuster Video is? If you answered yes, this is the podcast for you. I am one of your hosts, Gene Lyons, and alongside me is my co-host, Big D, Dick Ebert.
Good evening.
And each week, we take a look back in time and decide if our favorite films still hold up. The movies we cover are chosen by you, the listeners, who generously commission the films you love. If you'd like to see all the movies we have covered, will cover, want to choose one for yourself, please visit shatpod.com and have a look. At the end of each podcast, we'll provide you, the audience, with a number of wipes each movie would take to get off your respective butts. So thank you so much for listening. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and share with a friend. It's how we help the podcast grow. Additionally, subscribe to our sister podcast, Shat on TV. We review TV series such as Westworld, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, True Detective, Lovecraft Country, and Watchmen. Find all that information and past episodes at shatpod.com/TV. And finally, if you'd like to hang out with us live, you can follow us on YouTube at the Shat the Movies YouTube channel, where we play video games, host watch parties, and edit this podcast live. And if you tried to tune in to our live recording of Airplane and instead just saw me talking by myself for about 8 minutes, I apologize. I forgot when I was scheduling the live recording that it was Father's Day, and some people on this podcast have children.
Yeah, that was my fault. I saw it in the schedule. I thought we could squeeze it in. Vanessa's work schedule got changed. So then all of a sudden, I'm sitting there ready to record. The family's looking at me, and I said, Gene, please, please, can we adjust this?
But a big thank you to like the 5 people who hung out with me
on Father's Day.
Yeah, on Father's Day. And I started talking about like, hey, we were drinking Crispy Boys during the bachelor party. What do you guys like to drink? And the first response I got back was, I don't drink. So that went really well. I was a hit on YouTube Live. I think it's really my calling.
Well, it's on par with my my brackets. So we're just hitting home runs left and right today at Chat the Movies.
Hey, I got an email notification that we're hitting the limit on the brackets.
We're already into round 2. By the time this comes out, I think we might be in the quarterfinals, people.
Do you want to explain that one more time for people who haven't listened to every single episode of this podcast?
Okay, so if you haven't. So what we did was a couple of weeks ago, I think Tango and Cash, we had AI write up some scripts, and we got into a discussion about who are the top 10 action stars of the 1980s. And it was a fairly lively conversation online, even between us. So I thought, hey, let's integrate a new kind of feature to the website. I went and found a software that allowed you to do college bracket type March Madness. I went through the effort, Gene, of getting the top 32 earthbound vehicles, no spaceships, and rank them to make sure that the South, North, East, and West region was not stacked. So you didn't get a DeLorean against an Ecto-1 or Kit against, let's just say, the Interceptor from Mad Max. I broke them out into regions, separated them, put them out there, and it went over like a wet fart.
My favorite part of this experience, because I saw it coming from a mile away, just because I know the listeners and I know the zeitgeist of 2023, is you put the list out and people were more interested in telling you what you missed than actually responding to the brackets. And here's where it gets hilarious is we know other vehicles exist. We had to narrow it down. So it's not that we forgot things. That's like saying like you forgot to allow NAU into the Division I men's championship. It's because they didn't qualify.
Correct. And at least we hit the limit here. So round 1 is done, folks. Go to either the website, and it is shatpod.com/movies/brackets. You can find it there or in the descriptions or on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I posted it in all those places, people. Come on, we had a big one. We had the Green Goblin against the Assault Urban Vehicle from Stripes. This was a tight one, folks. I don't want to tell you who won. You better go check the brackets.
Check the brackets, go out there and vote. All that being said, Big D, what movie are we reviewing tonight?
Gene, tonight should be an interesting one because this is a movie I remember as a kid. Everyone talks about it in glowing terms. It is recognized as an iconic comedy, but now we're getting 43 years ago. So I don't know how many people are going to really remember it. Our younger listeners, maybe they'll go out there and find a copy and watch it because this is a very interesting one. And I was very happy. It's long overdue that one of our great listeners, Kiki, wrote in and she checked off one of the required films for any 80s or 90s podcast. She said, please go back to 1980 and review the parody airplane disaster film, Airplane.
And Kiki wrote in and said, hi, Shat the Movies. I am writing in the hopes that I can successfully convince the Shat team to review the 1980 film Airplane. I met my boyfriend a little over a year ago through a friend of mine, and we bonded over our love of terrible movies and Leslie Nielsen. We talked for weeks before finally meeting, and when we finally met, we binged a bunch of Nielsen flicks, Airplane included. I put him onto Shat Crew podcast, and we made it a point of watching whichever movie the Shat Crew reviewed and then listening to that episode in the car whenever we get the chance. I've been a longtime listener, and your podcast has gotten me through many dark times. It was a pleasure to make positive associations with it through my newfound relationship. We look forward to episodes and make sure to queue them up and have watched the movies so that we can enjoy them together with you. His birthday is coming up in April, and I'd love to commission this particular movie for him. Please help me, Shat Crew. Kiki.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, there you go.
Surprise.
Mystery man. But I'm glad we could facilitate romance as well with this podcast. We've got godchildren now. We've got people falling in love. We've got crossroad truckers, and we're keeping them awake better than pet pills. Doing it all here, Shat the Movies. Well, Airplane is a 1980 comedy written and directed by the brothers David and Jerry Zucker and Jim Abrams in their directorial debuts. It stars Robert Hayes and Julie Hagerty and features Leslie Nielsen, Robert Stack, Lloyd Bridges, Peter Graves, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Lorna Patterson. Airplane is a parody of the 1957 Paramount movie 0 Hour, from which it borrows its plot, central characters, and some dialogue. Released by Paramount Pictures, Airplane was a critical and commercial success, grossing $171 million worldwide against a budget of just $3.5 million. It received the Writers Guild of America Award for Best Adapted Comedy and nominations for the Golden Globe for Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy, and the BAFTA Award for Best Screenplay. Airplane ranked 6th on Bravo's 100 Funniest Movies and was judged the second greatest comedy of all time by the UK's Channel 4, right behind Monty Python's Life of Brian. So, Big D, we always ask where you were when you saw this movie, what your memories are of it. For me, Airplane, much like Vacation and Naked Gun, is one of those movies I'd label mandatory laughing. As in, the adults in my life when I was growing up would put it on and they would laugh and then they would stare at me. So I would laugh too, even if I didn't get the joke. I watched it a few times as a kid, a few more times as an adult. This is one of those movies I've seen several times, but it's easily been a decade since I watched it.
Yeah, Gene, I remember seeing this when I was a kid. I was far too young, and I thought it was funny back then. But the jokes that made me laugh were the physical comedy. It was the rough landing, the stupid people bouncing around, the inflatable autopilot Otto. Shit's going to hit the fan. That was the stuff that young Big D liked. The 20 seconds of boobs, fantastic. Well worth the extra, hour and a half to watch it. Only later did I understand that it was a machine gun. This was an automatic fire. It was a fire hose of jokes. I probably only got like 10% of them as a kid. Going back now, I still, to this day, 43 years later, I will find little nuggets that I had missed. And this was something as a kid I understood was funny, but just didn't understand how funny.
Well, we've got lots to say about Airplane, so let's hurry up and hit the trailer.
Stand by for the most extraordinary chain of events ever swept up into high adventure.
Hey, Larry, where's the forklift? Forklift? It's over there with the baggage loader.
Airplane. Airplane is drama.
This is Dr. Brody at the Mayo Clinic. There's a passenger on your Chicago Flight 209, a little girl named Lisa Davis, en route to Minneapolis. She's scheduled for a heart transplant. I want you to make sure that she's kept in a reclined position. and that a continuous watch is kept on her IV.
Airplane is action. Airplane is romance.
I love you, Elaine.
I love you.
Airplane is music.
There is only one river, there is only one sea.
Airplane is dance. Green Ben so big.
You ever been in a cockpit before?
No, sir, I've never been up in a plane before.
Peter Graves.
You ever seen a grown man naked?
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
My name is Roger Murdoch. I'm an airline pilot.
Leslie Nielsen.
This woman has to be gotten to a hospital.
A hospital? What is it?
It's a big building with patients, but that's not important right now.
Lloyd Bridges.
Johnny, what can you make out of this?
This? Well, I could make a hat, or a brooch, or pterodactyl.
Robert Stack.
All right, Steve, let's face a few facts.
And we hope you enjoy the rest of your flight.
Julie Hagerty.
By the way, is there anyone on board who knows how to fly a plane?
Can you fly this plane and land it?
Robert Hayes.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
I've got to get out of here. I've got to get out of here. Down, get a hold of yourself.
Please, let me handle this.
I've got to get
Calm down. Now get back to your seat. I'll take care of this. Calm down. Calm down. Get a hold of yourself.
Don't be one on the phone. Everything's been all right.
Sister, please, I'll handle this.
Mayday! Mayday!
All right, now everybody, get in crash positions.
The most incredible adventure the screen has ever created.
He's coming right at us!
The big news is Airplane.
Ex-fighter pilot Ted Stryker is a traumatized war veteran turned taxi driver. Because of his pathological fear of flying and his subsequent drinking problem, Ted has been unable to hold a responsible job. His wartime girlfriend, Elaine Dickinson, now a flight attendant, breaks off her relationship with him before boarding her rostered flight from Los Angeles to Chicago. Ted abandons his taxi and buys a ticket on the same flight to try to win her back. So the movie opens up with an airport scene. I've been flying a lot these past few years. I got my TSA pre-check. I consider myself an airport denizen. I'm that guy that gets there 3 hours early. I like to hang out in the bar, relax. I don't like to rush to my flight. I don't like to miss any moment. I get dressed up for flights. I just love flying. So this airport scene was appealing to me from the get-go. But after watching it, I feel like it might as well have been skipped. Literally, nothing funny happens in the first 20 minutes of this movie. We get some Hare Krishna jokes. We get like dueling PA announcements that don't really lead anywhere. We get a guy left in a taxi with a meter running. It is a painfully slow start. Big D's talking about this being a machine gun of jokes, but none of them are hitting. It's a very inaccurate machine gun. The saving grace is that Julie Hagerty is an absolute fox, and I did like seeing her on screen.
Okay, Junior, settle down. I'm going to have to talk to you here. This movie, you got to think of when it was made and the time. Were you even born then, Gene? Be honest.
I was born in 1980.
Okay, so you were just like
been alive.
You were just like a squirt. You were just like you just weren't even counting, right? You didn't show up on a census, so you don't understand. Back then, it was a different world. You could smoke on an airplane. Did you see everybody dressed up? This was an experience. I know you do it because you don't know, quote, who you're going to meet. I understand that.
Yeah, but big time in my friends.
All of the little comments it's making is about the experience that the airport had in 1980. You went there. It was an adventure. Now it's everybody books online. They check in online. They walk in with their app after they get in the Uber, whatever. They get a Starbucks. It's not the same. This movie was parodying everything about the time, and we don't necessarily get good parody films anymore. Now we get trash like Spy Hard or the scary movie parodies, or they're just all the vampire ones that are making fun of like Breaking Wind of like the stupid Twilight series. There's a lot of bad parodies out there, folks. This was not one of them. It was parodying a lot of the movies you mentioned. The main one was 0 Hour. They parody and take so much directly from the original movie, they had to buy the rights to it. Otherwise, they were going to get sued. So they bought the rights to 0 Hour, basically parodied it. They parodied another airplane series. Yes, they had like 4 airplane disaster films within like 5 years. It is fun. It is over the top. And it is just something that I don't think we do today. After the Naked Gun series, parody seems to be something of the past.
Okay, Grandpa. First of all, I feel like the experience that you just described in the airport is my ideal airport experience. We just did Jaws a couple weeks ago. I like Jaws. Jaws was made before Airplane. I got what was going on. And the things that you mentioned might have made this movie smart for 1980. That doesn't mean it holds up in 2023, which is what we do on this podcast. This movie is super far up its own asshole. It's too specific. Are you telling me, honestly, that you caught all these references you're talking about while you were watching the movie without going online, without 2023 technology? You're telling me that you're watching this movie, you're like, oh, those are the lines from 0 Hour.
No, again, because even me, I was a little more than a squirt, but I was still too young. Today, going back, but if I was an adult viewer at the time, it was very topical.
If I was an adult viewer at the time, I hadn't seen any comedies that came out after 1980. I would think everything was funny.
It's a top 6 comedy. Remember, top 6 was that Bravo? Top 6 comedy.
As voted on by people in Bravo in 1993.
Yes.
Once on board, Elaine continues to reject Ted, causing him to accidentally drive several other passengers to suicide as he sadly reminisces. After the in-flight meal is served, the entire flight crew and several passengers fall ill. Passenger Dr. Rumack discovers that the fish has caused food poisoning. With the flight crew incapacitated, Elaine is instructed by Control Tower Supervisor Steve McCroskey to activate the plane's autopilot, a large inflatable dummy pilot dubbed Otto, which will get them to Chicago, but will not be able to land the plane.
Okay, so people, don't worry. No social justice warrior cape coming out. No music needed here. But we have to talk about this. This is a 1980 movie that has just no restraint. It just goes after everybody. It is filled with tons of inappropriate jokes about everybody. They ask a little boy in the cockpit a bunch of inappropriate questions we're going to get to about gladiator movies and grown men naked. A lot of questionable stuff. They make fun of white housewives. They have jive talking African Americans, every religion, from Jewish sports stars, which is the tiniest little reading material you could get on a plane. They make fun of sick children, white saviors teaching African Americans how to play basketball, interracial relationships with children, domestic violence. They play off every race, every religion, every religious stereotype. None of this shit would go, obviously, today. But, Gene, I got to ask you, they even joke about abortion. You talked about the lines outside. The red line is for parking. They start, I know you want me to get an abortion. I'm like, wow, where did this come from? None of this shit would go today. But to me, again, as a white, almost 50-year-old man, none of it seemed mean-spirited. Everybody seemed to take their licks.
Yeah, I didn't find it mean-spirited or offensive. In fact, the 2 points in the movie where I laughed the hardest was the jive-talking black guys and the questions being asked to Joey in the cockpit. But I also don't find most racist, homophobic, or sexist jokes mean-spirited or offensive. I just don't find them funny. And I think that's the problem with the current comedy paradigm. Like, we've been conditioned to think that anyone who doesn't laugh is just triggered. Like, you're just so offended by the joke. No, it's just not a funny joke. I'm not amused. I wasn't amused by most of the jokes in this movie. The jive talking, is, as I mentioned, was the first time I laughed, and that was 20 minutes in. But yeah, I wasn't mean-spirited. It wasn't offensive.
What I love about the jive talking is the first time I picked up on the subtitles. What they're actually having an in-depth, heart-to-heart conversation about making mistakes and love and like putting your best foot forward. But all you see from the outside is the way they look and what they're saying.
And oddly enough, it was the nonverbals that made me laugh the hardest. Kind of what you were talking about when you watched it as a kid. I was beginning to lose hope for Airplane and wondering, why did people think this was a good comedy, until it leaned really heavy into the one thing 80s comedies have going for them. It's one of the things they do best, which is nonverbal background jokes. It's not the main punchline that's happening right in front of you. It's what's happening just beyond that. From Animal House to Better Off Dead, the 80s were great at having weird shit happen in the background that was often funnier than the immediate dialogue that was being presented. Airplane has this great flashback to what Ted and Elaine met in this seedy cantina. There's this guy, he's just standing by a jukebox, kind of a background extra. And as the jukebox gets smashed, he starts sort of herky-jerky dancing. And it goes on from there where he walks over to a table. It's like they just told the guy ad-lib. He flips over a bowl of popcorn for God knows why. Then he gets stabbed in the back. There's items that are flying on and off screen at incongruous angles. So things are just coming in from everywhere. It's intentionally bad. And it just makes the movie a lot of fun to watch. And I wish they'd done more of that.
Gene, this is the best choreography we've had in a fight scene. There are two Girl Scouts who are fighting, and it lasts at least 6 minutes throughout this entire scene. The choreography is fantastic. You have oddballs sprinkled throughout the entire bar. You could freeze the frame, and I wanted it to be a painting. There's like genuine guys, they look like they pulled them off of the wharf, sitting by the jukebox. Everyone in there is completely unique. And it is like, I feel like it's a Where's Waldo? Like I could sit down and dissect all those people. It is fantastic.
Big D, you mentioned those little pleasures that we had in the early 80s, like smoking on a plane. There is a great moment when Otto, the autopilot, he deflates. He's an inflatable man. And Elaine is instructed to find the little nozzle on his belt and blow into it so that she can get him inflated again. And essentially, she's giving him a blowjob. Leslie Nielsen walks in and sees it, turns around, goes back out the door. After the blowjob, they do this cliche thing where Elaine and Otto, they're kicking back in the cockpit of the airplane and they're smoking a cigarette. I didn't laugh. I kind of wanted to cry because those moments, those 80s moments, they're totally out of the question for intelligent, responsible, non-stinky adults in 2023. But man, I remember distinctly the absolute bliss of lying in bed and smoking a cigarette after making love or having love made to you. It's an underrated and forgotten thing. There is no peace like that on earth.
Well, I mean, the blowjob is one of the key components. It's a cornerstone of 80s comedies. Police Academy, the commandant getting blown underneath the podium or here. But Gene, for me, again, what makes it is the unspoken comedy of Leslie Nielsen. You have the stewardess. She's bent over. She's in his lap. The inflatable Otto is heaving. Leslie opens the door quickly, the doctor, and he's going to tell them something profound. He goes, okay, and just closes the door and leaves. That gave me a good chuckle.
Well, Elaine and Dr. Rumack convince Ted to take the airplane's controls. When Steve learns Ted is piloting, he contacts Ted's former commanding officer, Rex Kramer, to help talk Ted through the landing procedure. Ted becomes uneasy when Kramer starts giving orders, and he briefly breaks down amid more wartime flashbacks. Elaine and Dr. Rumack both bolster Ted's confidence, and he manages to once again take the controls.
Okay, so Gene, when we did Naked Gun, I believe you brought up a stat, JPM, jokes per minute, where you said at that point that was the film that had hit the highest mark, jokes per minute. And I think Airplane easily tops that because it's got physical, satirical, visual, auditory. It's got cameos. They are nonstop. And I think when they come up with a list of every film and every joke, I think it's more important that we quantify the laughs per minute. So Amazon, one of their owned like subsidiaries called Love Film, which is I think a British subsidiary, they went out and they actually did this. They wanted to find out laughs per minute, not just jokes. So they went out and found a section of their subscribers and they showed them the top rated films and they quantified it. And these were the results. Airplane generated 3 laughs per minute, beating out The Hangover. Okay, that's questionable right there by over 0.5%. They got 2.4. Naked Gun got 2.3. Superbad got 1.9. And Borat got 1.7. Anchorman came out in 1.6. But I think scientifically, Gene, right there, this is the funniest film ever made.
Yeah, scientifically. By that rationale, McDonald's makes the greatest hamburger in the world because it served billions. You cannot tell me this movie is funnier than super bad. You can get out of here with that. Come on. The quantity of laughs is not equivalent to the quality of the laughs. It's how hard you laugh. When we watch something like Cable Guy, I couldn't breathe. I was laughing so hard. It didn't mean I laughed as many times as another movie. It meant how hard I laughed. Come on.
It's hard. Like now we need another one, which is like the level of the laugh. Was it a chuckle? Was it about? Yeah, Superbad's got moments that you just remember. Holy shit! It's awkward. It's the teenage years. It's let's say they have more impactful emotional moments that make you laugh. This again, it's speed. It's the amount of the jokes, and each time going through, I think it is meant so you find new additional ones. Me on this one, I mentioned that I picked up on the translations of the jive talking, what they are actually talking about. But I also, this is the first time that I realized that when the white woman comes to translate, the old lady, that was Barbara Billingsley from Leave It to Beaver. And she comes out and translates in full fluent jive. Or when they call the Mayo Clinic, all of their pill bottles are shaped like mayonnaise jars. So yes, is the quality of a mayonnaise jar shaped pill container, Gene? No, but if you throw 100 pounds of shit on the wall, a little's going to stick.
Just want everyone to take note that the bar that Big D is setting for laughing is mayonnaise jars. And I don't want to make it sound like I didn't think this movie was funny. It had its moments. Peter Graves, for example, is incredible in this movie. I was actually really sad to see him leave the movie so early. I remembered him being in it for longer. Captain Over was my favorite character in this movie. I wish he had had more time on screen. He plays the lines so straight. He never breaks character. And thankfully, we got sort of a swap there where Robert Stack shows up as Rex Kramer, and he carries on that straight man baton. I think both guys understood that the funniest thing they could do was be stern-faced and absolutely committed to playing their characters seriously, even if it was talking about young boys watching gladiator movies.
And Gene, I agree. We talked to Naked Gun, how it works because Leslie Nielsen is so deadpan, so serious. It's like he's unaware of the movies. And here, this is the perfect boy band. We got all the old serious actors throughout the film who they give it and they come across pitch perfect deadpan delivery. And Gene, you talk about hey, do you like to watch gladiator movies? Hey, Joey, have you ever seen a grown man naked? I always thought that he was just a creepy, pervy pilot who was abusing him. This is a parody of the 1953 movie Shane, where Joey is a parody of the title character's interaction with his boss's son. I guess the boss would say, Joey, you ever seen a cowboy naked? It's not just a perv, Gene.
And years later, it would come back on Saturday Night Live as Canteen Boy. It's a joke that keeps on giving. And speaking of which, I think we found in Airplane the joke that never gets old. I've been searching for this joke my whole life. In Airplane, anytime a character says, "What is it?" the other character has to define the last noun that they said, followed by, and the punchline, but that's not important right now. So when they say you got to tell the captain we have to land as soon as possible, this woman has to go to a hospital, Elaine would say, "A hospital? What is it?" And then Dr. Rumack would say, "It's a big building with patients, but that's not important right now." Or headquarters, "It's a building where generals meet, but that's not important right now." Or the cockpit, "What is it?" "It's a little room in front of the plane where pilots sit, but that's not important right now." I laughed every time they brought this joke back. I laughed harder with each use. It's a genius joke, and it's a testament to what they were capable of in Airplane. They just went for the cheap gags instead.
Did you enjoy also the wordplay where Strucker's basically saying, "Hey, I don't think I can fly this plane. It is a completely different plane. It is completely all together." And then the doctor and the stewardess say, "It's a completely different plane."
Yeah. You know what that reminded me of? Spaceballs.
It's a fabulous film.
It's a great film.
Great.
As the plane nears Chicago, the weather worsens, complicating the landing. With Elaine's help as co-pilot and Rex's guidance from the tower, Ted is able to land the plane safely despite the landing gear shearing off. Rescue vehicles arrive to help unload the plane. Impressed by Ted's display of courage, Elaine embraces and kisses him, rekindling their relationship. The two watch as Otto takes control of the plane, inflates the female companion, and takes off. So, Big D, there's this minor character in Airplane that is sort of an outsized crowd favorite. He's like legendary among Airplane fans. Other people might not know about him because he's not billed as high as some of those huge names that we had earlier. It's Johnny. He's the control tower worker. He's this super flamboyant guy who I thought was like the gay character, but I don't know if that's actually the case. He starts out saying peculiar things and gets like increasingly eccentric as the movie progresses. And he's played by an actor named Steven Stucker, who had a history with the filmmakers. I got the sense while watching this, like, hey, you're our buddy. We think you're really funny. Just do whatever you want. He breaks the fourth wall. He acts super goofy. He drops all these non sequiturs. Like when they say the fog's getting thicker around Chicago and Johnny's like jumps over and shakes the guy's belly fat and Leon's getting larger. It's funny. But by the end of the movie, Johnny's doing like ballet jumps. He's basically being the worst kind of theater kid. And it's important to let your friends know when they're not delivering their best material, especially for making a major motion picture that's going to go down in the annals of the funniest movies of all time. And it's even more important to leave that shit on the cutting room floor. This was just a mistake in editing. They got to rein Johnny in. More Peter Graves, a little less Steven Stucker.
So, Gene, I agree. As a kid, I thought he was hilarious. That's because I was looking for the obvious jokes, and he was there because he's the only guy. He's out of place. He's acting like it's a comedy. Everybody else is treating this like a serious disaster film. Even I picked the wrong week to stop sniffing glue. That's all. They're playing it to be as real as possible. And he comes in, it doesn't fit. But we get here to the end now, and Gene, you talked about the another inflatable co-pilot, the girlfriend. This is the movie that refuses to tie up the ending with a nice bow. Rummick's trying to continue to wish Ted luck. He keeps opening the door and telling him, we're all depending on you. Closes the door, comes back in. They've landed safely. He keeps doing it. We're all counting on you. Rex is on the intercom giving him that speech about how the plane, you can do it. I can guarantee you can do it. They're setting this up for a sequel. And I think that it's going back to the nod of the original Airport series, because between 1970 and 79, they did a movie Airport, Airport 75, Airport 77, and finally Concorde. I think we have to review these because it's. I mean, did you see? You talked about earlier on how there's a guy in a cab. Did you wait to the end of the credits, Gene? Did you see the end credits?
No, as soon as I saw the credits start, I was done with this movie.
No. So
halfway through, I was pretty much done with this movie.
It goes back to that guy, and he is still sitting in the cab, wondering where the hell the taxi driver went.
Did you laugh?
No.
But
I still appreciate it.
Million laughs a minute, Big D. Million laughs a minute.
I said a million jokes a minute. Some of the shit. This is a kernel of corn. We threw it on the wall. It fell down, but they tried, Gene. Effort.
Big D's just that sweetheart who's visiting like the nursing home and telling all the ladies they're still beautiful.
You didn't laugh at any of the cameos, Gene?
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was kind of funny.
Ethel Merman?
Yeah, she was hamming it up a little too much. I get this what she was
supposed to
I get this what she's supposed to
That's
do.
what
Yeah,
she does.
it's a guy who thinks he's Ethel Merman and then it's Ethel Merman. Yeah, wow. Good one.
Oh, you're so
good
hard
one,
to
Airplane.
please.
Good one.
You're so hard to please.
All right, Kiki. Now's the time in the podcast where we give our Shat score for Airplane. Our Shat score is our way of telling you how many wipes this movie takes to get off your respective butts. 0 wipes is a perfect movie. It's when you develop a drinking problem, but it just involves spilling your drinks. 5 wipes is an absolute disaster of a movie. It is working an incredibly stressful job while your wife sleeps with a horse. Big D, we'll start with you. What do you give Airplane?
Gene, Airplane remains an all-time comedy classic. I think it revolutionized the spoof genre, and it revolutionized it for a couple years, and then we went right to shit with it. It's relentless, it's offbeat humor, it's rapid-fire one-liners, it's absurd visual gags. The film keeps us engaged and laughing. Yes, maybe you got to be over 40 to kind of really enjoy it, but it's an ensemble cast of a lot of Hollywood legends, and they deliver unforgettable performances. Are they Academy Award-winning performances? No, but they're defining of their career. You see it, you know who it is, and I think it pushed the boundaries of what comedy was. Is it refined? Is it high culture? No, but this is a fucking fantastic film that I think probably inspired. This is without research, Gene, or AI. This inspired an entire generation. This is a half-wipe film.
I can accept the fact that I'm probably wrong on this because I am not a expert comedy film maker. I'm not a comedian. I don't write jokes for a living. I know I can't argue with the dozens of critics and comedians who say this movie is a comedy classic. I have to be honest, though, it didn't make me laugh. Much like A Christmas Story, I think people confuse a good comedy with a comedy that makes them feel good, a comedy that brings back good memories. When you're a child and you see your mom and your dad and your uncle and your aunt and they're laughing, it feels good. And you hold on to those memories, especially in the 80s when kids didn't see that kind of thing as often. Compared to the 80s, we're very happy-go-lucky as adults. We're very jovial, right? Back then, they were much more austere. They were much more stern. Take all that out of the equation, and this is a movie with more jokes that miss than jokes that hit. I don't think it's very good.
Here's a question. There are like comedians who make you laugh and comedians who make you think.
Mm-hmm.
Can you appreciate them both independently? I mean, does George Carlin have to make you just splitting your side, being like, oh, he's so funny?
So you're saying Airplane made you think?
I'm saying it wasn't like, it was ridiculous situations and wordplay and commentary on popular culture and religions. It was a smorgasbord. It was a cornucopia of attempts. It was a giant grab bag of jokes.
It was 2 hours of community theater mixed with dad jokes put on display for everyone to watch at a time when there was nothing funnier to watch.
And it worked.
I'm going 3 3/4 wipes on this one.
You heartless bastard.
So with 3 3/4 wipes from me, half a wipe from Big D, finally we get something we disagree on that gives us an average wipe score of 2.125 wipes for Airplane.
Gene, that now places us in the 149 spot. It is all alone. It is slightly better than True Romance and Clerks and The Final Countdown. Slightly worse than The Spy Who Shagged Me, Arthur, and The Wedding Singer.
Well, send in those emails, everybody. Hosts at shatthemovies.com or leave us a voicemail by going to shatpod.com and using the SpeakPipe feature.
And again, folks, I would say I would try to figure out a technological way to get you a voice, but I don't know after this poor performance in the brackets that we could trust you.
All right. Speaking of the voice of the listener, Kiki, let's get to a couple voicemails we have queued up for this week. The first one comes from Alexander Wolfgang of the Secondary Heroes podcast, calling in about the Muppet movie.
Hello, Shat Crew. This is Alexander Wolfgang from the Secondary Heroes podcast. This time I'm not walking my dog, driving to work for the San Diego Padres. Anyways, I love knowing now that it gets about 3 months before we hear the voicemails that we leave. So I want to tell future Alex, happy birthday, buddy. It's August. Enjoy. Also, I just finished the episode where Big D, you had your daughter Emma on, and she gave her takes about the Muppet movie. I thought that was great, and I say you do that more often. I think that is just a nice little button at the end of these episodes. I think that would be really fun, and it's very sweet to hear your daughter. Anyways, guys, keep up what you're doing. I love it. Love listening. Talk to you soon.
Well, thank you very much for the call. So tonight, well, let's say we did a family event today. We went to the parks from like 9:30 in the morning until like 10 at night. I came home crispy, dry, tired, hating the parks. And I said, oh, I got to record tonight. I wish I had. Emma goes, oh, I'll sub in. Emma totally told me that she would step up. I could go to sleep. And I said, but you haven't watched the movie. She goes, okay. But she's ready, Gene. I think she's ready.
What do you think she'd have to say about Airplane?
They threw poopy at a fan.
And is that funny, Emma?
They shouldn't throw poopy at fans or the boobies. She might think that was terrible. You know, I think she would have pretty much the same take as you. This would be a 4-wipe film for both of you. Yeah.
But she'd love those racist jokes.
Oh, she would. She'd be like those jive talking turkeys.
All right. Thanks, Alex, for the call. Next up, we have one from Brad calling in about Jaws.
Hello, guys. This is Brad Richmond. I started listening to your podcast on May 31st. Or wait, I think the day before. But I like the movies and looking at your list of films that you discussed. I did like the movies that you were talking about, some of my favorites. So I wanted to listen to them, but I just started listening to the Jaws one. And I always like to hear people's insights on Jaws. Jaws is my second favorite film of all time. My first being The French Connection. I know those are 70s movies. I know you've done 70s movies, but great movies came from the 70s. Really ones to analyze and to talk about. And if you ever want a guest on your show, I would love to be a guest. I just, I'm not a film person by trade. I'm not a director or writer. I don't have a podcast show of my own, but I do love movies. I know some things about it. I certainly know I could have great conversation, and that's all I'm really looking for is great conversation. So anyway, I just also wanted to mention just a small thing. You were talking about Spielberg and the ratings. I know that person that wrote into you said Jaws was rated R. It wasn't. It was PG, and you did mention that, so that was good. It's amazing. Today it would be rated PG-13 if it was rated today. And the other thing was that you said that Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom was the first film to be rated PG-13. It was not. It was rated PG, and I used to think this too. It's not. People get it confused because it actually was the movie that inspired the PG-13 rating. It was the movie that people said, kids go to this, and
you better say what it was.
Young for it. We need to come up with a rating that's in between. And I believe Red Dawn was the first PG-13 movie, not Indiana Jones. Well,
fuck yeah! You're correct.
Anyway, I'm going to continue listening. Thank you guys for what you do, and again, I would love to be on your show. My name is Brad Richmond, and keep up the great work. Bye.
Fuck yeah, Brad. Fuck yeah.
I feel like Red Dawn was caged up in that PG-13 penitentiary, grabbing onto the chain link fence, just yelling to Brad, "Avenge me!" And he did. He did a great job. Brad, here you are. You're on the show now. So thank you so much for calling in. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Red Dawn was the first PG-13 movie and certainly did come after Raiders of the Lost Ark, which was not PG-13. We have another call coming in about Jaws, and this time it's Matt from Adelaide.
Hey there, Matt from Adelaide back. Just listen to your Jaws podcast. Got to say, Gene, thanks for laying the slap down again on Flash Gordon, because we know the shark alone is better than the whole film of Flash Gordon. And to be honest, we won't even go there on Big D's rating of Red Dawn, which I also saw in the cinema, and also gets the same type of rating I gave Flash Gordon. Let's be totally honest. C. Thomas Howell and the rest of the cast, Patrick Swayze, yeah, American propaganda. But anyway, thanks for such an amazing podcast. Great to hear, and great to hear Big D finally got a decent rating. But yeah, just remember, Big D, look at the rating of Jaws, and then look back at the rating of Red Dawn and Flash Gordon. And yes, I did see it in the cinema, but I didn't know what I was going to do. And my parents paid for it, so that makes it even worse. They spent their hard-earned money for me to go and see one of the crappiest movies I've ever seen in my life. Love you all. Take care and keep podcasting.
So, Matt, listen, there's a difference. You could enjoy, let's just say, some fish and chips from a stand on the street, or maybe a wonderful plate of beef Wellington. They're both fantastic, very different, but they could both be very enjoyable, and you might give them half a wipe.
Jaws is still much better than Red Dawn.
Jaws is great, and I think the only thing we did that we cut Jaws like short, Gene, was I wish we had talked about the book, because I'd done research on the book. Do you know in the original novel, one of the major difference that Hooper is like some hot, young, like Hampton's guy who actually fucks Brody's wife.
I mean, that would have made the movie better.
That's a shocker. He also feeds Jaws a baby dolphin.
Why don't we get drunk and fool around?
That'd be good. Make that time on the boat real awkward. It's Brody's talking about him nailing his wife, and they're trying to hunt the shark that's trying to kill them, and then they're Quint's trying to like feed a live baby dolphin to the jaw. Where is this?
You know where I got this scar? Thanks, Matt, for calling in. And while we're on the topic of Adelaide, I did want to send a shout out to two friends that we made while we were in New Orleans, Dave and Kat Clark from awesome Byron Bay, Australia. They were very, very cool. We hung out and I don't think we promised them. I don't know. I was very drunk, but I did write their names down. So we're supposed to do something.
Oh, contact us. They were fantastic.
Yeah.
There was the Australians. It was the Swedish bachelor party who gave us a banana hat, like a Gilligan hat, which later came in handy as we traded it for shots and then finding my missing cell phone. So these were all like very key moments in the weekend.
Who found your cell phone?
I believe you did, Gene Lyons.
You're welcome, Big D.
You're making it sound like you were Matlock or Columbo. I left it because I was hammered. It was in the DJ booth as my brain froze, and I actually almost had a stroke because I couldn't remember the words to Mr. Roboto.
Thanks, Matt, for calling in. Next up, we have a voicemail from Rachel C. calling back from Milwaukee.
Hi, this is Rachel C. from Milwaukee. Just finished your mailbag episode, which I really enjoyed, though if you're still taking votes on what platform to use. On YouTube, when I watched it, there were these insufferable commercials every 5 minutes, and the volume was way amped up, like times 100. So I literally would jump scare every time a commercial came on. So just FYI there, but I listened all the way through, because I can listen to you guys all day. But I also wanted to see if you played my email where I requested Thelma and Louise so I would know if I needed to pay. Alas, you did not, so I guess that one is still hanging in the balance. But in the meantime, new idea, at the end of your, I think it was Splash episode, a listener challenged Big D to rewatch Clue, which I fully support. Clue is a top 3 all-time favorite movie. But I'd like to commission a far inferior movie to really make Big D appreciate the genius that is Clue. And so this was another movie around that same time, also in a big spooky mansion, kind of a whodunit aspect to it, but not nearly as good. As Ash would say, it's real bad, y'all. But I think it'd be hilarious to listen to you guys critique it. I've still seen this movie probably a dozen times. So I'm talking about the Gene Wilder, written by, directed by, starring movie Haunted Honeymoon. Let me know. It's a horror comedy with a supernatural twist, and I think it'd be super fun. So email me. You can play this on the air and let me know, or I think you have my phone number, text me, but I'm happy to still commission Thelma and Louise and or this one. Thanks, guys. Bye.
So, Rachel, thank you so much for calling in and for your commission request. We did not have your voicemail on that YouTube live. We did, however, play it on our This Is Spinal Tap episode. So if you go to that one, we did talk about Thelma and Louise. Of course, we'd want to do Thelma and Louise. Who wouldn't? And I'd much rather do that than Gene Wilder's Haunted Honeymoon.
That is the apex Brad Pitt. That is like hot Brad Pitt. That is Gina. I think it would be a good one.
As for YouTube Live as well, thanks for letting us know about the volume thing. So obviously we can't control the volume that YouTube is putting out, but we can turn ours up. So we'll be sure to do that when we do future YouTube Live so that you don't have to keep turning it up and down when you're watching.
I think what she meant was that there's a difference in the ads and our audio. So I think
if we turn ours up.
But what I think we'll do also is we'll try to minimize or at least push them or space them out. Because they don't bring in that much, to be honest. You know, it's pennies. You know, Gene and I are here picking out pennies from the local wishing well. So maybe we'll push them back towards the end so that we don't give you that many jump scares.
Nah, we're just going to turn our audio up. Next up, we have an email from John who would like to commission A Fish Called Wanda. He says, "Hey, y'all, I'm excited to request my third commission, A Fish Called Wanda. Every time I think y'all may be running out of movies, a quick search of some of my favorites shows there's so much left to do in these 2 decades. Please don't expand beyond that, outside of a few here and there as one-offs. Also, Big D owes me a rewatch of Clue, like he promised he would, from my first commission and from the bonus from my forthcoming second commission. All the best, John.
Fuck, John. Listen. Yes, you're correct. It was a very busy month. I Gene Lyons Bachelor Week. I changed jobs. It's all bullshit. These are all excuses. Gene hates them. He's looking at me like just disappointed in me. I'm a failure. I'm sorry, John. It's me.
Well, it's, what it comes down to is viewers will request things. They'll be like, hey, could you guys do this? And I'll say, no. And then Big Deal say, wow, man, we could do it. And then you find yourself committed to a bunch of things you just can't deliver on. Your mouth is writing checks that your ass can't catch.
You know what pisses me off?
Cash.
You know what pisses me off is that, John, I spent the time I could have watched Clue doing my brackets. And John would have been happy. I would have kept my word. John, I'm sorry.
No, John's going to write in a week from now. He's like, Big D, love the brackets.
Yeah. If John, if you love the brackets, that would make it all well worth it.
All right. Thanks, John, for writing in. And Big D will rewatch Clue. And I would love to do A Fish Called Wanda. It is one of my favorite. It's a real comedy. It's a comedy that will make me laugh far more than Airplane did. No offense, Kiki. Next up, we have an email about a past movie commission from the commissioner, Adam F. He says, Adam from Texas here, mailing y'all to explain my weird voicemail for my Bloodsport commission. I'm going to send this email and also do another voicemail where I sound normal, I hope. So what happened was I was on one and a bit tipsy, and long story short, I recorded several voicemails and deleted them before choosing what I thought were the best 2 of the bunch. Allergies were involved, but spoiler alert, there's nothing weird going on in the background. I'm thinking Friday, I'll try another time to send a voicemail that's not so slow and makes sense. Please keep up the good work, all of you, and I'll be commissioning another movie soon because most of my big hits have been done, so I've been scraping the barrel to find a real stinker. Not that I want to torture y'all, I just want to listen to how funny the review would be. By the way, I never mentioned that the Bloodsport review came out the day after my birthday, so perfect timing after waiting about 1.5 years. I went to Vegas for my birthday and listened in the hot tub in the room while watching Below Deck. I couldn't have asked for more. Thank you all so much. That comes from Adam in Texas.
Adam, thank you again for the commission. Happy birthday. Glad you liked it. I'm glad we went and did it for you. But it's more and more people who call in, Gene, realize it is not an easy thing to talk into a mic and then hear yourself and be like, wow, okay, I got to re-record that. It's not easy, people. So when they get on us for our content or the things we say, it's really difficult.
And on that note, Mike Vincent, thank you so much for calling in for your voicemails. I listened to both of them and I apologize. They were like 3 minutes long. I could not understand a thing you were saying. So I'm really, really sorry. I'm going to try to clean up the audio and get a sense of what you were talking about. But it sounded like you put it on speakerphone and then stood like across the room and then yelled through a can or something like that. I can't really tell what's going on there. But Mike, I apologize for your voicemail. There are a couple others where I kind of had some trouble. If we can't tell what you're saying, unfortunately, we can't play the voicemail because we have no idea how to respond. Well, Adam, thank you so much for writing in. Thank you for your commissions over the years. And to the DEA, if you're listening, Tango and Cash, if you're out there, that was not cocaine that he was snorting in the background of his Bloodsport voicemail. He just had allergies.
Yeah.
It was allergies.
He's treating his glaucoma.
That's right.
With that other medication.
Well, thank you to everyone who wrote in and left us voicemails. Again, if you want to write in, you could write us host at shatthemovies.com. If you'd like to leave a voicemail, just go to shatpod.com, use the SpeakPipe feature. And Big D, what do we have coming up next week?
Gene, next week, there's a film, and again, I say this all the time. This is a film we should have done. When Roger and I came up with our original top 10 list of what the first 10 episodes of Shat the Movies would be, this was on both of our lists, and somehow we got to the sequel before this. I tell a story about one of the most horrendous things I've ever done in my life as an employee at Blockbuster. I dubbed over a section of this film with an explicit climax scene from an adult actor. So some family was watching this film. There's an epic moment. It cuts to an adult porn star climaxing and then right back to the movie. It rented 3 times. Spoiler alert before someone complained. I will go over that entire embarrassment as we finally get back and review the original 1994 film. A SWAT team ace, played by Keanu Reeves, must keep the speed of a Santa Monica bus above 50 miles an hour, or a madman, played by Dennis Hopper, his bomb will explode. Commissioned by Jackson M. Man, this came out in 94. Budget of $30 million. This is everything that is 90s films and action. And how we didn't do this before part 2 is beyond me.
I think it fits with the podcast's identity. I think it's perfect. But yeah, Jan de Bont's first movie, it's a good one.
And go back and listen to our Speed 2 review. I think it's one of the best. You talking about the ice cream truck bandits, or how you went from 50 miles an hour high-speed chases to 13 knots. We're going 13
knots, baby. Well, thank you, Kiki, for your commission. Thank you to all the commissioners who make this podcast possible. That concludes this week's episode of Shat the Movies. Be sure to follow us on social media and share with a friend. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram at Shat the Movies. Email us, host@shatthemovies.com. Support the podcast by shopping our Amazon affiliate link, buying our merch, or commissioning your own movie. Find all information by visiting our website, shatpod.com. Also, check out our sister podcast, Shat on TV, where we review TV series such as Lovecraft Country, Westworld, True Detective, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, and Watchmen. Find all the information on our website, shatpod.com/TV. We're everywhere. Find podcasts be found, including Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe. And if you stop by Apple Podcasts, please be sure to leave a 5-star review. We're slowly climbing up in those ratings, and we love to hit 4.7. It really helps the podcast grow. On behalf of my co-hosts, Big D and Ash, I'm Gene Lyons. Join us next week for the following movie.
All right, pop quiz. Airport. Gunman with 1 hostage. He's using her for cover. He's almost to a plane. You're 100 feet away. What do you think?
Shoot the hostage.
What?
Go for the good wound and he can't get to the plane with her. Clear shot.
You're deeply nuts, you know that?
All right, gentlemen, what we have here are 13 passengers in an express elevator. Bomb's already taken out cables. Bomber wants $3 million or he blows the emergency brakes.
Anything else that'll keep this elevator from falling?
The basement.
He can strike anywhere, at any time.
Will the mystery guest please sign in?
Why are they messing with me? Do they think I'm doing this for fun?
For L.A. cop Jack Traven.
Tell me again, Harry, why did I take this job?
Come on, 30 more years of this, you get a tiny pension and a cheap gold watch.
Cool.
The game began.
Very exciting, Jack. Some close calls, huh?
When someone put the city of Los Angeles to the ultimate test.
Pop quiz, hotshot. There's a bomb on a bus. Once the bus goes 50 miles an hour, the bomb is armed. If it drops below 50, it blows up. What do you do? What do you do?
Now.
Are you insured? Yeah, why?
He's the only solution.
We just got a ransom demand from your terrorist. Says he's rigged the city bus. Where's Jack?
Where do you think?
Stay on or get off.
Get off.
This is much better.
Everybody hold on!
Keanu Reeves, Dennis Hopper, Sandra Bullock.
Pop quiz. You have a hair trigger aimed at your head. What do you do? What do you do?
Speed. Get ready for rush hour.